the films kind of went into commercial Hollywood space. We
Yes,
always looked at horror comedies when this genre kind of, I felt, kickstarted with a Bhul Bhulaiya. It kickstarted with a Stree, especially when the film is promoted as a very contemporary film with Munjya.
firstly, sir, I mean, of course, I think I would be the last person, but definitely tons and tons of congratulations. It is just sheer madness, but in the best way possible that Munja has managed to create. I mean, I have to know the raw emotions. मुझे पता है सबने आपको ये पूछा होगा कैसा लग रहा है. It's the most common question ever. But I want to know the raw emotions, when you do something like this, it's probably not really, in the conventional sense right there, but it somehow just is accepted so much. So please tell me.
It's a good time to answer this question now because it's been 4 weeks since the film is released, and
Yes.
we've kind of got enough time now to understand what's going on, what's happened, how it's happened, and why
Right.
it's happened. So initially, when we kind of got the first few weekend numbers, we were pleasantly surprised, to see how well the opening the film had received. And we were always confident that we had made a fun and an entertaining film, a film that promised a really good theater experience. But
Right.
you need that initial audience to come and spread the word of mouth, because we were sure that word of mouth will build the momentum of the film. But
Correct.
our Friday, Saturdays become very important, to do that.
Mm.
So I realized that what my Friday and Saturday was, it went kind of way beyond what we expected it to go. And I realized that
Right.
maybe we somehow undermined either the audience or the film, one of the two. And you
Correct.
tend to do that, in this in the industry. This is my first theatrical film in Hindi. I
Yeah.
have had
Yes. Yes.
8 films in Marathi that have released, that have done well, that have got a lot of critical and audience acclaim, and I've been through this grind there, in the regional. But when you do this in the pan India market, and when your film is going to go all over the world, even release there, you are not very sure about how your very regional sensibility is going to be accepted on that platform.
Right.
And you kind of make your own mind about, okay, it'll open well in Maharashtra, but maybe I don't know how it's going to happen outside. So
Of course.
so those were the apprehensions, but kind of, I'll tell you honestly, the film has outperformed all our expectations. It's all credit to the audience whose word of mouth has really been instrumental in getting this film to where it is today.
Right.
I just cannot be more than thankful from my end and my team's end to all the audience, because what was most overwhelming for me in this whole 4 weeks was yesterday. Last evening, I was with a friend in a theater, and I was kind of hoping that, fourth Sunday with Kalki doing so well,
Exactly.
we might get a decent audience, maybe not that great, but see, I am very happy with what it's done so far. So, I walked into the theater hoping that I get a decent amount of audience.
Right.
I was shocked to see the theater full. It was packed.
Oh man.
And I put this message out on my group with my actors saying that, guys,
Yes.
look at this site, guys. And Sharvari replied back with another message saying that I'm also in a theater with another friend of mine, and the theater is packed here too. So it is
Crazy.
quite an amazing feeling to have your audience give you that much love for that long period of time, in a time and an era where films don't do well for maybe
Absolutely.
more than the first weekend.
Correct.
And you see the numbers dip drastically after the first and second week kind of progresses. So fourth weekend, Saturday, Sunday, I'm really, really overwhelmed. Yeah.
Absolutely. Fantastic. That's exactly, I think, it's kind of it's such a raw feeling even right now, because
Yeah.
that's what even we felt like, I mean, we as critics and journalists who went to see the film, who loved the film, but you're always in that mindset because everything is so fickle right now. There is
Yeah.
no certainty. Kya chal raha hai, kya nahi chal raha hai. Nobody can guess it. It's
Yeah.
it's such so organic, and it's in a good way and a bad way as well. Fantastic. Great, sir. And I have to ask you this, with Munja, I saw a couple of things. You talked about the seed of the film, and of course how Maddock approached you with their own
Yeah.
idea and everything.
Yeah.
What my question is that I know they were very receptive about how you wanted to make this world
Make the film.
basically.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Right. But what I'm very interested is that what the final product turned out to be. Was there
Okay.
anything that you would have still wanted to incorporate, maybe more rooted? Because I know that, when you're making a Hindi film,
Yeah,
there's a lot of commercial aspect involved to it.
yeah. What an interesting question this is, because this is something that I have always kind of, whenever I see the film, whenever I kind of yesterday I saw the film after a long gap. I had not seen the film after my final DCP check. I had done that
Correct.
DCP check on Thursday, and after that I could not ever kind of sit through the film and watch it, because we were already always kind of moving around or on the run.
Correct.
Yesterday I saw it after a long time, and I felt the same thing I'd felt when I'd seen it at the DCP check, that maybe
Mhm.
if I would have kind of done my flashback a little longer, the
Ah,
backstory. I was
yes,
so intrigued by that world. So that for me, that Gotia's world, that
I
backstory of that
agree.
kid who becomes Munjya was fascinating. And more than anything, I had kind of struck gold when I met these two actors. These kids
Mm,
who are really good. And when you're working with child actors on paper, you do not know how long a flashback will hold, especially when the film is promoted as a very contemporary film with Munja,
right.
with songs, with these characters. So on
Correct.
paper, it's always a flashback. It's always a sequence that is an opening sequence to a film. And then you have
Yep.
the title, and then you have kind of these ideas that your title should not go too long into the film, and then you should not kind of
Mm. Correct.
start the film so late, and then you should have a very tight flashback. So
Right.
all these ideas were what I executed. So no regrets about that at all. But somehow when I watch this world kind of unfold and try to take a step back and try to see what I could have done differently, I always feel if given an option now, I would really, really delve a lot into that 1950s Konkan and try to explore that story of
Right.
Gotia a lot more in detail. There was so much in idea, there was so much kind of being put on paper, but we realized that maybe in the edit we might just cut it off. So we never went into executing it. But yeah,
Right.
you'll know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I agree even more so, because that's
Yeah,
exactly the first 15 minutes that is everything. Like, it starts off so well. And as you mentioned, the child actors are fabulous in what they do. I
yeah,
mean, we never know. We might be getting a Munja chapter one on day one,
yeah. You know,
one fine
yeah.
day.
I might just go into exploring that more now. Yeah,
Exactly, exactly. I'm
yeah,
sure everyone will be interested. Great,
yeah.
great, fantastic. And so what it's also I'm a Gujarati, but I've loved
Yeah.
Marathi films in general, and I've
Okay.
watched so many of them. My
Okay.
favorite have to be Zombie.
Oh,
I have bawled.
lovely,
I have
lovely.
bawled. I have been laughing. I was laughing the first time I saw it, and it came at a time where you probably appreciated you even a lot more. So to
Yeah.
it's fabulous. Zombie is fabulous, and so are others also.
Oh,
But what
lovely.
I'm getting to is that the trend of horror comedies, it continues to gain. There is something about it that, if done right, it just clicks. I think
Yeah.
it's one of the rare genres right now which probably has a really good track record. But of course, it has to be done well.
Right.
What do you
Right.
think? What do you think is so specifically peculiar about it that it clicks so much? Is it just about the rooted storytelling, or is it just like a comprehensive thing of everything?
You're talking about the as the genre you're talking about.
As a genre, yes, yes, correct.
I feel it is more to do with rooted storytelling. Definitely yes, but I also feel that it is a genre that is extremely somehow not explored enough. Man, I don't know why we have not gone into exploring more of these
Right,
films in the last few years. When this genre kind of I felt kickstarted with a Bhul Bhulaiya, it kickstarted with a Stree. It kind of
correct.
found itself now in this last
Hmm.
post-pandemic era. And this genre was always attempted. It was always attempted by the West. The West always kind
Yes,
of went into making horror comedies. But I do feel that the West always saw these rooted horror comedies as very indie films, as very
yeah,
local indie films. And I never felt that they kind of looked at horror comedies as something that was in a space where the films kind of went into commercial Hollywood space. We
yes,
always
yes.
looked at horror comedies into these I would say what regional folklore
Hmm.
setup
Hmm.
as very commercial films. And I think
Right.
what paved the way was, in a way, I would definitely give a lot of credit to Tumbad. I would give a lot of credit to even Kantara, even if it's not horror. I do
Yeah,
feel that films that kind of
rooted.
put rooted folklores and narratives in a pan-Indian setup and got so much
Correct.
of love. Definitely came from a space where I came from a space where when I saw these in theaters, I felt that they resonated to me also, even if they were not my narratives or not my stories. So, so I felt, that gave us confidence to even explore a film like
Yeah.
Munjya. And I have seen so many of these Midsummer, for that matter, or so many of these A24 movies in the West, kind of
Yes.
attempting horror, folklore horror, but not ever putting it out there in terms of commercial cinema. So,
You're right.
so now I do see with Zombie, we attempted that in Marathi because we felt that it was a pretty crazy idea to put zombies in Zombie. And I felt
Of
that,
course.
Go Gone had done that in 10 years ago, rather. But
Correct.
all those zombies still were very Russians, they were foreigners.
Yeah, exactly.
Our local zombies would have been more fun, and that's what we explored in Zombie. And we
Absolutely.
saw the way people reacted. We saw the way people were excited to see this, that local sense of a horror narrative. So
Right.
that gives you more confidence to do it now. And I do foresee a lot more films coming into this genre going down in the future.
That I think perfectly acts as the segue to your next film, because
Yeah.
it's exactly, I think, in the same zone. And
Yeah.
of course, there's not much out there. We just have posters, and because it's a digital release, there's not there's not a trailer out there.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll be seeing that soon.
Yes. Yeah.
But I'm very interested to know about Kakuda as well, because even the captions, that Sonakshi's accounts and Ritesh's accounts and everybody's accounts is put up are so fascinating. Like even the character
lovely.
description is so crazy. Like I'm like, oh, okay, I know. It's already, sometimes you read the synopsis and you are just like, oh, wait, I'm sold. Like I want to at least see where this is heading. So what is it about Kakuda that you feel it's still in the zone of being a horror comedy, which obviously it seems like
it is a very, very different genre I'm attempting this time. Now, this is it's a very spoof at horror comedies.
Nice.
And I hope you get that, because a lot of people I know will not kind of really understand that genre, but you might just get it when you see the trailer. We have tried to do that a bit in the trailer, give the genre out a little more. It's a little crazier. It's more comedic than horror. It takes a lot more shots at horror comedies.
Amazing.
And I would not call it a scary movie series, because scary movie went kind of very crazy in that space.
Yes.
I am still holding on to my narrative, because I don't feel our audience is that open to now see a full 2-hour spoof unfold. Because what I feel is people do see these spoofs more of skits, rather than as feature films. But in the film itself, I've taken these shots, at a few things. So I do feel that now, after having done a Munjya, which is a very quintessential horror comedy, this is not exactly that genre. It is from the same world, but it's a little offshoot from that world. And it's based on a local folklore. It's based on folklore we've invented, because everybody calls every film a folklore. So we thought, let us invent our folklore. So that's our shot at folklores also. So you'll see the film. You'll see the film and you'll know that in a way it is in the way we presented it is very rooted storytelling. It is very simple, straight storytelling, because it was always meant to be an OTT film. Way I treat my films, I do feel that when you go for a theatrical film, you kind of build a theatrical experience around it. And when you're making a film for OTT, you kind of keep it a little more dramatic and more immersed, because I know that people watch these films on different formats, and your true sense of kind of making an impact is through the medium you're watching the content through also. So you need to understand. So my understanding kind of made me deal with this a little different, as how I would have dealt with maybe a theatrical otherwise. But yeah, I feel you will kind of see something interesting and different in Kakuda also.
I'm already fascinated the moment you said the word spoof, because I love those. The entire scary movie franchise, referencing Easter eggs, spoof, everything. Yeah. I think that itself is great. Super, fantastic. Just a couple of things before we round it up. One is that having done, and having gained success in this particular genre and its, sub-genres, I would say, is there something that you desire to do the most and you haven't been able to do so far, and you want to do it? So,
see, I would, as just a filmmaker, there are a lot of things you would want to do. I would want to do a historical war movie. I would love to do a historical. I'm not talking about historical. I would not refer to an India-Pakistan or an Indian War of Independence. Reference, I would really go back historical. Like, it's the maybe 400, 500 years ago. Something that you kind of really set up in kind of creating worlds that people have imagined but not seen. There is no visual recounting of. There is no photographic reference to.
Correct.
So I kind of love to make movies that you kind of have the the upper hand of creating a visual that people do not kind of know of but are fascinated by. So in bits and pieces we did that in Chetukwadi. In bits and pieces we did that with Munjya. Now I would want to make films where my entire worlds kind of are set up there. Kalki is one of those exactly bang on references. I have not seen the film though. I'm going to watch it, but I would. When I saw the trailer, I thought, man, this is like the way Mad Max was, or the way Dune is.
Correct.
Those kind of world buildings for me are very, very interesting and fascinating. And for me, Blade Runner is one of my favorite movies. So I do feel that.
Blade Runner.
Yeah, the new one was extremely fascinating. The last installment. So for me, these films are the films that I really look forward to kind of making and putting them out there. Yeah.
In fact, there's another Blade Runner coming out soon as well.
Yes. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
Very excited. Exactly. It's so bang on that you mentioned, because world building is basically you're just transporting that particular viewer to that
Completely.
in a way that you're literally everything you're there. You're not just there on and off. You're just there entirely. Super.
Completely.
Fantastic. And on that note, on similar lines, while that is something you would aspire to do, and now you've been rather busy. I think in the past couple of years, maybe it's one of those things that, you've done it for a while, but abhi ek saath mein bahar aa raha hai, kind of a thing.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly. So what is something else that, everyone can look forward to apart from these, this world?
I am going on floor now in October with another film with Maddox. This is a film we've been working on for a good long time. Trying to put it together. The cast still kind of is going to be coming on board because we've had a few actors who've come on board, but we're still officially kind of getting them signed, and official announcement on these actors have to still be made from Maddox. But it's a vampire film. It's called Vampires of Vijayanagar. It's our own take on Indian Desi vampires.
Super.
It is very folklore again. It is a romantic horror action comedy. So that's again a world I'm kind of really looking forward to creating and going into. So yep, that's something that's coming up next.
It is already fascinating, and Maddox has really been on that, which continues to be a factor. It's fabulous. Super. Thank you so much, sir. Wish you all the luck ahead, and congratulations once again for Munjya. We just cannot wait ahead.